Welcome back. CNC on CFB Show Con. A little bit of a hiatus, but it's a little bit of a after conference title weekend, Heisman,
Yep.
kind of a little bit of a dead zone. Not totally though, because we got bowl season, bowl mania. I know you're very passionate about
I am.
this season.
Yeah, it's my favorite time of year. I mean, to me, college bowl season is as integral to the holiday season as Christmas trees and carolers and lights and everything else.
Sure.
I love it. I couldn't love it more. People are off work this week. What did they get yesterday? They get a 2:30 p.m. kick between Old Dominion and Western Kentucky. What could be more fun than that? And I don't say that with a hint of sarcasm. Just a fun. You like to gamble, you throw a couple bucks on the game. You don't. You got to watch just an incredible football game. And for all the haters and losers out there who, I mean, really, there are so many people that take this stance. There are too many bowl games. Why are these teams still playing? No one cares. If you take out some of the bowl games, those are the games you lose. A 28-0 that game was. Western Kentucky comes all the way back, wins it in overtime. It was a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
And to all those people that say, you don't like it, don't watch. I don't like mustard on my hot dogs. I don't go on some weird tirade about how there needs to be less mustard. I don't eat it.
Yeah, no, that's that's a very valid point there, and it's just funny with Old Dominion against Western Kentucky, that game yesterday in Charlotte, because it was the Toastery, famous Toastery Bowl.
The famous toaster.
Not the Toast, yeah. But funny you mentioned that game in particular because to your point, I mean, it's just kind of a random, or I guess Monday. It was a Monday. So normally you got your Monday Night Football, but during the day I'm like, what better way to, kind of spend my Tuesday than, tune into this bowl game. And I was like, okay, I'm so inclined. Let me get a little action even more. I'll, place a bet. And I was convicted in the Hilltoppers. So I was like, okay, Western Kentucky, I like what they got going. They got Malachi Corley. Full disclosure, I was kind of totally oblivious to the fact that Austin Reed was not going to play. And I was just, okay, I'm feeling Western Kentucky. And we get into that to start the game. I mean, it couldn't have gone worse. It could not have gone worse. And I honestly, full disclosure, call me, a bad fan or bad rooting interest, but I ended up just, once I got up there after the first 3, 4, 5 possessions, I just turned it off. I looked away. I'm like, I was thinking in that moment, maybe the worst bet I've ever placed of all time. Like, it could not have gone any worse. And then to my complete surprise, as I then go to lay another bet later in the night, I'm like, it's a little present under my FanDuel account. I'm like, wait, how do I have this? No way this, and I see 38-35. I mean, just crazy. You could not. I just want to see if anybody took a live odds by anybody out there when it was probably like 100 to 1 minimum. I mean, it was crazy. It just crazy, but that's bowl season for you.
Yeah.
You have to just tune in. You never
Crazy
know.
fun games a lot of times between two teams that would never play each other during the regular season. You get these cool, fun, different matchups. I love it so much, and I don't even begrudge the people who don't like it. It's not your thing, whatever.
Sure.
I have a problem with the people who
are
actively trying to take away bowl season. I mean, have you seen what the Pop-Tart Bowl has?
I haven't.
An edible mascot.
Edible.
You win the game, you get to eat the mascot. The mascot is an edible Pop-Tart. What's better than that?
Stuff like that. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't overlook the meaning that brings you got edible mascots. You got, I mean, my Gamecocks talked about a couple years ago, incredible Mayo Bowl victories, and then concussions out of a Mayo bath that just was so viscous that it couldn't be poured out of the Gatorade tub to their expectations. But you just love it. You love it. It's
so much fun.
You gotta love it.
I don't know why people hate fun, Colin.
Yep, the no fun police. They take many forms, but we are the fun purveyors.
Yeah,
here.
don't say the fun police because that sounds like we're policing fun too.
No.
Fun purveyors. I like it.
So I think, look, with that, let's just go Tuesday, December 19th, all the 30-odd games we still have remaining. We're just going to do a head-to-head kind of alternating draft or pick, if you will, game by game. Picking basically like a game day, like picking the outright winner, not necessarily bet purposes. But we are going to do a little T or pen cap toss, kind of whichever the end's pointing to between us. We'll be able to have the honor, the choice of if they want to go first or second. We'll leave it at that. But all right, gonna hear some very cringe desk popping here, but that
Right at me.
it's Love and Connor. So I think Con, with that, we'll transition here. We'll let you lead it off. The one that is today.
Yeah. Now, personally, I'm inclined to punt here, to take the ball in the second half. Because I think you're so bad at picking.
Okay.
But
no,
this being the first game,
okay.
I love it so much.
Okay.
I have to take the ball. I'm Matt Hasselbeck. We're going to take the
that.
ball and we're going to score.
Gotcha.
I think they lost that game, but still, it was a cool moment.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going with UTSA. They have been so electric since Frank Harris came back. If he had played the whole season, I mean, they might be in Liberty spot playing against Oregon in a New Year's Six bowl. I mean, that's how good this team has been since they got healthy. And so, yeah, I mean, it's 7.5, but I would probably take it if it was 12.5.
And yeah, absolutely. Then you're left to just take. You're very confident, as I kind of would have been, and obviously head to head, they're just gonna. Yeah, you just feel like. I mean, there's no way. I haven't quite looked at the exact potential opt outs. I don't think either. There's potential. I know there's high name profile defenders that are in the in portal speaking, but I don't think. Yeah, Frank Harris has got to be a swan song, and yeah, that's can't fault you for that pick there. Can't fault you for that pick. UTSA really turned it on later in the season. Had Frank, Josh, Cephas in fantasy. They were really pulling the weight for me in a lot of games. But Con leading off in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, taking the Roadrunners. Can't hate that pick whatsoever. Going through, see some games already transpired here. And then, yep, as we go past that crazy, famous, not just the Toastery Bowl, we got now resuming. So it's a weird little gap. Nothing tomorrow on Wednesday, interestingly enough. But we do have the famous, the Roof Claim Pinstripe Bowl. Syracuse versus South Florida.
It's not the Roof Claim Pinstripe Bowl, by the way. It's the
Boca Raton Bowl. Boca Raton. That's right. No, that's totally right. I don't know why. I'm always think of Syracuse as a Pinstripe Bowl team. They definitely have been.
Yes.
They absolutely have been. But we are the Roof Claim Boca Raton Bowl. So it's in Florida, South Florida, USF, their home state there. But I like Syracuse here. I like them. I'm not even quite sure. Is Fran Brown, is he going to be on this? At this point, he's got to be on the sideline, right? If he's not.
Typically what they do in these situations, which is not all the time, it's up to the coaching staff and all that, is if they have named an interim, in the interim, they'll let that guy coach this game, and he'll be either in the booth or on the sideline, no headset, just there for the kids, but not coaching in any way.
Gotcha.
Although they did, I don't know that they ever hired an interim. I don't know that they had to play a game. Did they fire Dino after?
I think it was just after. It was in sort of the... right immediacy after that. So it's a little bit weird situation, but for me, my pick, I got to go. I just like the momentum there. Syracuse. Maybe you can't, not so tangible, even if he's not there. I think him being there in spirit, this program, they got Kyle McCord, although he's not going to obviously be able to play in this game, but interesting. We'll get into portal, all that stuff in a later episode here, but I got to go with Syracuse. I like the momentum that they've got going here. At a 2.5 point favorite here, which is interesting. Give me Syracuse. I like LeQuint Allen. I like them. I like in these type of scenarios, bowl game. You never know what could happen. Clearly, right? I'm going with. I'm largely going off a gut, off a mood. Mood there.
Yeah, I like the pick because with a new coach coming in, like you said, that can infuse a little bit of juice into the program, but also now all of the guys on Syracuse are playing for their job.
That's true, too, an audition, if you will. Yep. That's absolutely right. If they haven't already made, for the guys that want to be part of it, maybe are debating or don't want to debate, want to show that they have their place and not, in a way, kind of be forced into a portal or whatever, what have you. That's a very good point. Now go into the Union the home mortgage Gasper. Everybody loves that word, Gasparilla. You get talk about bowl season. You get the Gasparilla. You get roofclaim.com.
Oh,
Con.
I get upset when I do know what the sponsor company of a bowl is. What's roofclaim.com? Never heard of it till they sponsor a bowl, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Genius marketing though. If you have to pour 100% of your budget into anything.
Do you think anyone knew about the famous Toastery Bowl or even what the hell that is?
Nope. And it's funny because then you get the beauty of the actual. Obviously, they get the namesake of the sponsor, the prevailing sponsor. But then there's actually the commercials during the game, and then
a lot of times they'll do one of my favorite things where they'll have like the CEO of the company.
Yeah,
they'll interview him. They'll do a sideline interview, and it's some old guy who started Radiance Technologies or whatever, and he doesn't know anything about football, and it's hilarious. It's a lot of fun.
And you almost sometimes, too, you get introduced, you kind of get acquainted in the commercial, and it's the guy, the talking head, introducing the company, famous toastery. And because I think they're actually, I still don't even know. I'm pretty sure they're almost like a sit down, like a restaurant, like a breakfast place, because they were showing like a whole ambiance, like a sit down, like the whole presentation, the whole 9 yards, like a dining experience. Would have thought it would have just been like a toaster brand, but I don't think that's the case. But nonetheless, it's just it's incredible scenes, just unbelievable atmospheres around each and every bowl game in its own right. Once you tune in, but you have Georgia Tech versus UCF here.
And I got Georgia Tech here.
Okay.
I love this team this year. Obviously not what they did to my Canes. That was very upsetting.
Sure. Very true.
Outside of that game, they've been a ton of fun. Just so much better than I think anyone expected. Better than I expected. Really nice rebound for the program. I know they only went 6-6, but if you go back and look at preseason stuff, they were picked to finish last in the ACC, go like 1-11. So, I thought they had a great season. I thought they were a ton of fun. And I think they're the type of team that they're going to play, and they're going to play hard in the bowl game.
Sure. Yep. And so interestingly enough, you leave me the favorite in this, in UCF. But the beauty of these, with most of these games, and why I think this pick'em, this draft head-to-head format, alternating, if you will, makes a lot of sense, is inherently they're not going to be these obscene lines. That's just more or less within the 6.5.
Oh, sometimes you get some.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. You can't have it for everything. You can't always get the close, right? But you more often than not. So, but Georgia Tech there, interesting pick. I can't fault you there for the mentions. The reasons you mentioned.
Yeah, just now that you bring that up, just for future pick purposes, I may have tuned out a little bit. Are we picking these straight up or against the spread?
Straight up.
Okay, good to know. I still like them straight up.
Yep.
I was thinking we were factoring in the spread. Now that I know that, I will. We are
going.
Luckily, head I like both of mine just head to head
with UTSA with the Roadrunners and the gold jackets, the blue jackets, the Georgia Tech
yellow jackets.
The yellow jackets.
We're almost there.
Not yet. Color knew it was in that ballpark. Knew I was in the ballpark. But I guess moving that down to kind of the next couple games here, beginning on Saturday, the classic day, right?
Yeah.
We got, for me to pick between Troy and Duke here. And interesting, the rationale I just chose with Syracuse, my first pick, ACC, another ACC team, another momentum, similar coaching kind of carousel there. And I think with both Syracuse and Duke, I think very solid hires, in my view at this point. And definitely a lot of energy going in that direction. And man, I was kind of, I guess with Troy, with both of these schools, actually it is a head-to-head, It is head-to-head in that sense. I think, look, I'm kind of doing a last second. I had looked at this game a little bit before we started the show, but I'm actually doing a last second changeup. Give me Duke. I'll take him head. Yeah, we're picking head-to-head who's going to win, picking who we think is going to win that bowl game, and in the 76 Birmingham Bowl. But Troy, they're definitely kind of that home, I think some home crowd, home field advantage maybe there. But I got to go. I just got to go with Duke. I think Manny Diaz, we'll dive into it, obviously more so. But for my rationale, give me Duke. I'll take Duke.
All right. Yeah, you know what? I liked Troy there, so I'm happy to have him. Not that, I don't see your reasoning, but we'll see. That's the fun of bowl games. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
I will go to the next game, and this is a tough one for me.
Okay.
As you know, I probably chewed your ear off. I loved Northern Illinois last season. They were kind of
Sure.
my fun MAC team.
Mm-hmm.
I have a cousin who used to coach at Arkansas State. I've got old ties to both programs.
Mm-hmm.
No specific feeling this year either way. But you know what? It's in Montgomery, Alabama. Almost a home game for Arkansas State. They're gonna have more fans. I'm just going with the fans in the crowd. Let's go Ark State here.
Okay. I'm kind of happy. I would have picked Northern Illinois. So
There you go.
okay. Interesting how it's shaken up here, but I get quite, and just to recap, that is the Camellia. Yeah, it's just interesting. I almost, at this point, you love the more completely convoluted, drawn out bowl games when it's just called the Camellia or the Camellia. Not to tarnish that brand or company, whatever it is. Sorry,
It
but
may be a city. I don't know.
it could be. It could be. But another bowl game in Alabama, 2 noon kickoff down in Alabama. Interesting. Yeah, should be interesting. Only a 2.5 point line there. So that's what makes the beauty of these games. Although, look, they could go any which way. What way do I think the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl? Of course, we have Air Force represented. Taking on JMU, though. This is very interesting because JMU kind of going against the rationale maybe I've leaned with my first couple picks. Well, they've had kind of the coach poached
Yes.
from
Different than getting a new
Yeah.
coach in because you fired a guy and you're excited for the new hire. This
Signetti
is-
going
yes.
to
Although
IU.
Duke, same thing. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, so you're just all over the board. So
I'm
you don't know
very
what
all
you're
over the
picking.
board. I don't. Yeah. So that just sends insight into my mind. It peek into my the intricacies of the inner workings of this crazy brain here. But JMU versus Air Force. Oh man, we're talking in Fort Worth, Texas here. Not that that really affects things for me, but you know what? Give me Air Force. Give me Air Force in this one.
Wow. I did not think you were going to go that way. You know, Air Force was an early season darling of this show. Talked about them a lot.
They were.
They
No,
fell
were.
off about as hard as you can possibly fall off.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to sneaky get them because I
Okay.
thought, but
I just had to, I think they're going to be up for it. JMU, although, yeah, they had the kind of coach poached away. But I think, look, those guys, those players, they're still very, I think, going to be motivated. I'm not quite sure. I know there's had to be some portal movement at this point.
they've got significantly more guys in the portal than Air Force.
Sure.
Another reason I like Air Force in this game. But I'll root for JMU.
Okay, and you got them as a 2 point favorite technically at for what it's worth on the surface, but a couple of states here, Georgia versus Utah in the famous the Idaho Potato Bowl.
Yeah. This
God,
one actually is famous. This one they play every year. It's
Yeah.
not like the famous Toastery Bowl that just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, easy pick for me on this one.
Okay.
It's just I think the Sun Belt was the most underrated conference in the country this year. They were so deep that they did what the Pac-12 did a little bit this year. Where they ate themselves up, and obviously it's on a greater scale with the Pac-12, but same thing here. 6-6 is not a bad record in that conference when you constantly have to be going through App State and Georgia
Sure.
Southern and JMU and Coastal and all of these
Yeah,
schools.
very sneaky good conference.
So I think they're more battle tested. I think they're better than their record shows, and I got Georgia State here.
Okay. Yeah, that was that was the team I would have hoped to get. Although, and again, interestingly, Utah State is the slight favorite in this one. Interestingly, though, with portal movement, you got Granger and Carroll. They have both entered. I know Carroll's already gone to. He's going teaming up with Eli Drinkwitz over there at Mizzou. But nonetheless, that's such an interesting factor. Obviously, with this whole college landscape, trying to factor in portal. But you like to think there's guys ready to step up and really make. To your point, for all the guys that might not be there, there's guys that are sure as hell trying to make a mark and make a statement for their college careers almost. But You give me South Alabama versus Eastern Michigan here, just how this kind of order shook out. And okay, this is one where it is quite a line.
Yeah.
Quite a line here for South Alabama, favored 16 and a half point favorite here. Although speaking of portal movement though, Colin Lacey, a big name that they're not going to be with, heading up there to Louisville. But I can't overthink this one. I think I got to take South Alabama here.
No, you're right. It's in Mobile, which is where South Alabama is located.
Sure.
So it's not like it's close to campus. It's next door.
It is home field
advantage,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hell, it's got to be the only stadium in Mobile, right? Are they playing an actual home game on their home field in their home locker room?
I think it absolutely is. And then it's funny because then you'll have that they'll host a bowl game, and then soon after, getting into, I guess, within 4 or 5 weeks, then it'll be host to the Senior Bowl. Everybody's favorite. Reese the Senior, talking about other bowl games, all-star games, if you will. That's an interesting idea in of itself, how that might shake up with the whole revamped all-star landscape of underclassmen being eligible now. Juniors, I guess. But.
Two funny things about this that I'm now just realizing as we're talking about it. One, I feel like South Alabama plays essentially a home game every year in the bowl. I don't know who they've got on the committee.
Yeah, it's almost like they've... Yeah, I feel like that is...
And also, I feel like every year there's a big-name wide receiver transferring out of South Alabama to a Power 5 school.
Yeah. They're almost like a wide receiver factory.
Yeah, but like not even underrated. Like they send guys to the NFL. They send guys to Alabama, and then they go to the NFL.
Yeah. Or the likes of Jalen Tolbert stays there, and then he ends up being a 4th, 5th guy on the depth chart for the Cowboys. But yeah, sneaky, talented, especially offensive side of the ball, producing school there. But Con, we move into not
cousin also used to coach there.
There you go. It's a lot of connections here. If you haven't picked up on a theme yet, I guess. But moving on to, not to be disrespectful, we got now some Power 5, kind of switching things back up here. Utah versus Northwestern. Talk about interesting years for both those teams.
Yeah. This is a tough one. I mean, I like the guys who are going to play hard no matter what, which I think Northwestern definitely is here. I like the teams that overperformed in the regular season in bowls typically. Now, sometimes you overperform to a level that a bunch of guys jump in the transfer portal, and that can hurt you.
Yeah.
But typically I like teams that overperformed in the regular season, which Northwestern did. I mean, after the whole scandal and everything broke, and, losing a coach a couple weeks before the season starts, people were literally saying they're not going to win a game this year. They're going to go 0-12. Here they are sitting at 7-5 playing Utah in a big bowl game. So I love them for that reason. On the other side of the ball, or the other side of the game, I should say, Utah I just feel like is much better. So it's that's what I'm going through now. A lot of Mormons who are fans of Utah, a lot of Mormons in Las Vegas where this game's being played. Could be a home field advantage there.
True. We are talking the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to factor in the Mormon crowd. But I will. You know what? I'm going to ride with my guys. Okay. I think Utah's a better team. I think Utah probably will win this game, but I want to root for Northwestern in this game. So I'm gonna.
Okay. But you are picking.
I'm picking Northwestern so I can root for them.
So you can root for them. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. So interesting pick there. I guess I'll take Utah. I'll always put I can't hate being able to root for Kyle Whittingham, having put my money on him. But
yeah,
I get another at the rotation. I get another kind of large line here, picking between Coastal and San Jose State here. Coastal, interesting team. Interesting team for sure. San Jose State, I talk about interesting team as well. I can't overthink this one. I gotta go with San Jose State here. And
yeah, it's not interesting at all to me. I mean, it's two teams that had the bulk of their offense was behind a great quarterback this year. One of them's going to play in the game, one of them isn't.
Yeah.
That's the difference in the line. It's probably going to be the difference in the game.
Sure.
Good luck to Grayson McCall, though. But yeah, it's I don't see the path for Coastal here, especially their defense has not been elite all year. And so it's not like they can even try to win a, slop fest of a 10-7 game or something.
Sure. I guess it's how I should maybe preface interesting talking about as I transitioned to this game. I was thinking, and obviously maybe since we just had talked about a Mormon Utah based team, I was thinking of talk about turnover for a program. Tough losing your coach and Jamie Chadwell over that over the last couple of years. Chadwell and then McCall just now. Thinking about the heights that program had when they were beating BYU and Zach Wilson. And the heights of just a few short years ago, but almost seems like a lifetime in some respects. Yeah, that's just college football in a nutshell. It's so much movement and chaos, and what better else than to spend a December Tuesday picking bowl games, baby. But we're going on to Tuesday, December 26th slate here. Con, you get the pleasure of picking between Bowling Green and Minnesota.
Man, I was going through the bowl games with a friend of ours a couple days ago, and I called this the grossest bowl game I've ever seen on paper. I mean, I can't imagine wanting to pick either of these teams.
Okay.
These teams were gross this year. Bowling Green was weird because they had some really high highs.
Gave J.J. McCarthy some issues.
They still lost that game by like 40.
Yeah, but relative.
No, but they did. They had some high highs and they had some low lows. And when they were at their low lows, they looked like maybe the worst team in Division I college football. Minnesota was just gross all year. I mean, that's Big Ten. Iowa, pound the rock, punt a bunch, never score, hope it rains a ton during the game.
I guess they are a 5-7 team.
Yeah.
So it's almost like.
So they weren't even bowl eligible. They were the
just
best of the rest.
Yep.
Same way JMU got in. They're not supposed to be bowl eligible because they're sanctioned for moving up. But when there's not enough 6-6 teams, they will invite the best of the rest. Anyway, yeah, I will hope that it's one of the high highs for Bowling Green, not one of the low lows, and I'll take Bowling Green. But yuck.
Okay. Yeah, just no, I can. Immediately, I totally get that sentiment. The more we just get into it seconds in, I'm like, okay, yeah. The quick lane, yeah, interesting, but not a sexy matchup whatsoever. But I get now the
Quick Lane, I'm sure wants their money back once they saw that
probably that's a fair point there. But Texas State versus Rice, so an interesting Texas State matchup there. Texas State favored by 4 here. Interesting, and this I think is an interesting matchup for sure for me. Man, Texas State or Rice here? I'm gonna go Texas State. I'm gonna go Texas State here.
It's good. I wanted Rice.
Okay, this is the beauty of this head-to-head too. There's we might look back on this once we get into the looking back the footage. Once the video's up there. There might have been, it almost might have been just a natural if we both had to just pick the games for bar a handful. It was almost, this is working out almost so naturally. But Con, now you get actually.
Yeah, this is the last game. I just want to give my reasoning for anyone who's thinking about betting on Rice.
Sure.
This is, I'm pretty sure, but you never know with this guy, the last game JT Daniels is going to play.
Oh, I didn't even know he was going to. Okay. I thought, okay.
Yes,
gotcha.
I believe at least when I was looking into the Bulls, which was now over a week ago when they were announced, he was going to play.
Okay.
And one last ride on his 5th college in 7 years or whatever it's been.
Okay.
So I like it for that. But also Rice is going to have the home field advantage here.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
Two Texas teams squaring off, but I actually don't know where Texas State is located, so I can't say which one's closer. But I do know Rice used to be a football powerhouse, and there are still a lot of people in Texas, a lot of older people or even younger people that go, oh, my grandfather's gone to every Rice game for 60 years in a row. So they draw well, and home bowl game essentially, they will fill up that stadium, I think.
Fair point. That's a very, very good rationale for Rice there. It's interesting because I was the whole JT Daniels element. I was thinking about that, and I guess I was just under the impression. I guess maybe I misinterpreted or misread it. He was obviously medically retiring or moving on to coaching, and I thought he was just going to be now serving in the coaching capacity. But nonetheless, even the home field that you just mentioned,
Yes.
it all plays into Rice's hands here. But
Yeah, I believe that was, and like I said, I also, I think, only read a headline, but going into the bowl games, everything, that was he's not pursuing a career in professional football. That was him saying that, but he's still going to play his last game.
that makes sense.
I could be wrong.
Nonetheless, I still look. I'll put some chips and some money on GJ Kinney. He's done a hell of a job as a coach. But moving on, he got his big marquee win against Baylor. They had not even close for Texas State there, but great marquee, good first season for him. And then I was kind of hinting at it earlier. Con, you get now the pleasure of actually, should you lean that way? I guess we are getting into territory where there's again some kind of some bigger lines relatively, but I think this is kind of simple enough. I think where you might pick, or maybe you surprised me.
Yeah, I do a similar thing with another friend that's against the spread, and I hopped all over UNLV here. I don't feel like they're 12.5 points worse than Kansas, but I've already given up a chance to take a big spread. I'm going to be on, the side that Vegas wants me on for this one. I'll take Kansas, but if we were picking against the spread, I'd be on UNLV.
Okay, gotcha. So it is a little bit. This is a little bit of change up than what your other pick where it is the line. I gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, but gives you some. It gives you a little bit of diversity. Not the same thing. Versus two people. Again, this is just cold hard. Who is going to walk out of there with a win, with the either opportunity in some senses to have their coach concussed by Mayo cartons or Mayo jugs, or potentially eat a Pop-Tart. A lot on the line. Line at stake for these games and these players and coaches, everybody. But I get to now decide between Virginia Tech and Tulane here. We're getting into now a theme of pretty larger lines, but I might have just misread it for a second. I thought at first it might have said, I guess, I got to get my eyes checked. I thought it said Tulane heavily favored for a second there. That's obviously not the case.
Michael Pratt is not going to play. Yeah,
that's very true. And for that reason, I'm going to go Virginia Tech here. I don't think it's too.
Yeah, Michael Pratt was the engine that drove the whole thing for them. I don't think they're going to look any good without him. I could be wrong, but I would also have been on Virginia Tech if I were you.
Yeah.
All right.
The Mayo Bowl.
Yes.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl here.
The granddaddy of them all, as they call it.
Yep.
This one's fairly easy for me. I've been on UNC is a fraud.
Yep.
I've been on that tour all year,
Yes,
especially when they were undefeated early and talking crazy like they were going to go to the college football playoff. I'm going to keep up with that. I'm going West Virginia here.
Just the sensible pick too.
Yeah.
No Drake May. He opted out
Yeah.
of the game, and
Which he should have.
Yeah, absolutely. As I guess transitioning in here, the next quarterback, right in as Drake May did. Although funny enough, it had to be Lincoln Riley, his coach, saying he's not going to play in the game. Caleb Williams hasn't yet gone as far as to declare for the draft, which is a little bit odd because I don't think if you're not playing in the bowl game, all it's left is to obviously assume, but yeah, you wouldn't think there would be any if you're not playing in the game. Obviously, there's no way you're going back to USC, you would think, and then equally, there's no way. I've seen really random conspiracies. Oh, he's Ohio State's. Him and Marvin Harrison are going to team up at Ohio State. That's just way out of left field, just pure and utter nonsense. But anyway,
he's going to declare for the draft.
Yes.
He might not go to the combine, but he's going to declare for the draft.
100%. If he's not playing in the bowl game, I just don't see.
Yeah.
There's no other option at this point. There really isn't.
Well, the portal's always there.
It is, but I just don't see how he could. Lincoln Riley was
sound
his guy.
reasoning.
Yeah. And We are talking the DirecTV Holiday Bowl here. We almost could maybe separate. We could do like a almost a hierarchy. Although we don't even some of these names for these. There's always new sponsors, but
Yep.
it's almost like a draft of your top 5 non.
I used to love the Belk Bowl. Because
Belk, yeah.
What the hell is Belk? You know?
Yeah, that random Southern outfitter that kind of has a store retailer every like 150 miles along the East Coast. Because I'm being in the Carolina area for a little bit. And South Carolina, having played in that my freshman year, and then they got absolutely bounced by Virginia.
One of my favorite too was two of my favorites of all time, and we'll get back to the picks. But bowl games are so funny. Before Bad Boy Mowers was as popular as it is, they sponsored the Gasparilla Bowl, and the first time everyone on the internet heard the Gasparilla Bad Boy Mower Bowl, I mean,
Presented by
Twitter was a lot of fun that day.
Yeah, that's funny.
And they also because they did it in reverse order. It's usually the Bad Boy Mower Gasparilla Bowl. They flipped it. They did the Gasparilla Bad Boy Mower Bowl. It was hilarious.
Funny combinations there.
And then one year, I believe the Boca Raton Bowl was sponsored by like cherry flavored vodka, and everyone's like, "What in the world? Who drinks cherry vodka? How did the cherry vodka company have the money to be sponsoring a bowl game?"
Yeah, you can question the decision, but look, if you're gonna put all your marketing budget for a year, you gotta do it. You might as well do it in a bowl game, man. You might as well do it for a bowl game because you know there's gonna be a certain amount of eyes watching, and you know there's gonna be potential Twitter, social media.
Yeah.
5 seconds of fame craze there, which you never know how much that pays off for you. But pardon that aside, we'll go back. USC or Louisville? Who do I want to take here? Louisville, 7.5-point favorite. I think, talk about the rationale I've kind of been consistent using up to this point. Talk about momentum. I got to go. Give me Louisville in this. Braum, a hell of a first year coaching. They're leading the portal, getting everybody, it seems like. Obviously, they're not going to have these guys making an impact in this bowl game right away necessarily. But, yeah, Caleb Williams is not going to be there for USC. Give me Louisville. I think Louisville's had a tough. Talk about momentum's there. Outside of maybe the actual game itself, but obviously I think there's an inherent effect on the impact on the players and the general mood. And even if they weren't hitting home runs in the portal, I think they had a tough end of the season. With how the ACC title game went, I think they're gonna be ready to bounce back and definitely, I think easily give me Louisville to win this game. But
I gotta agree with you there.
You get an interesting matchup here. Former Big 12.
Yep. I gotta be honest. I spent so much time this year thinking that Texas A&M stunk, which they did, and they, I believe, made the right call in firing Jimbo Fisher.
Sure.
That I didn't even realize they made it to 7-5, which is a pretty impressive record playing in a top conference.
Sure.
And, so yeah, maybe a little bit better than maybe I wrote them off a little too soon. Obviously Oklahoma State stumbled a bit down the stretch. They, but still a good season. This is a toughie for me. Again, Texas A&M will have the interim coach still out there.
Sure.
Not getting Mike Elko on the probably be on the sidelines, but without a headset, just watching. He will not be calling any plays. I am gonna go with you know what? I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm taking Oklahoma State.
That's that kind of thing. I thought how you were leading it up. It was you were gonna go with A&M there, but I like Oklahoma State. I like that pick here. Even with the Elko. For me, A&M, it's just A&M is an interesting place. They're an interesting place there. You see videos every year. Interesting, the whole 12th man, the whole everything that go in there. But for me, I think it's more believing in. I think Ollie Gordon might be a one-man wrecking ball, and upset. I guess quote unquote upset. But it's again less than a field goal line here. But can't hate that pick at all. Really like it. I get the joy of deciding between Thursday, December 28th. Wasabi Fenway Bowl. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Yep.
Very specifically to be clarified.
Yeah.
SMU.
Not, by the way, not a wasabi purveyor. Just wasabi in general. Just the food.
Yeah.
I actually believe it's a tech company named Wasabi,
Okay.
but it is funny.
Yeah.
It's like Got Milk commercials weren't for a milk company. They were just for milk in general. I always think that's a funny...
That's true. That's very true. Classics.
But yes, you got the Fenway Bowl, Boston College playing in Boston.
But similarly to the lack of home field, kind of some of the thinking that you've used in a pick or two that you made, I don't think that makes any difference here. SMU, a ranked team, really good year. Rhett Lashley. Yeah, I'm not going to overthink it. Give me SMU. Although Boston College, I like Big Thomas Castellanos guy. He's been a hell of a player.
Me too. But I was actually with a friend of mine who's a former Boston College quarterback, and I said, "Hey, Castellanos, he's always liable to to do anything really in a good way."
Sure.
And you're playing at home in Boston. He was like, "Whatever you can get the line at, bet SMU." He's like, "This team is so much worse than 6-6, which is what they ended up." He goes, "And by the way, as far as playing in Fenway, they don't draw to Chestnut Hill on their campus where the students already are. No one's coming to Fenway to watch them play." I said, "All right."
Yeah. Yep. So that's tough pill to swallow, I guess, if you're a Boston College fan. Kind of anti-Boston College takes here, but little technical difficulties, some weird camera stuff going on. But we're
Blame
back
it on
here.
the camera.
Blame it
of
on the
course.
camera. Yep. It just does. It has a mind of its own. Just kind of has this bubble thumbs up. It's very weird. But to recap, where we believe it got cut off, where we'll know, and I'll know soon enough. I got SMU in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Con, you get to transition to picking between the matchup in the true bad boy mowers.
Yes, they've
Pinstripe.
upgraded to the Pinstripe Bowl. That's a
they're
big
the
upgrade for
Pinstripe
them.
Bowl. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this game a little bit before on our last episode, so I'll keep it kind of short and sweet. I think Ja'Cory Brown knows he's playing for his job. He decided not to enter the portal. He was a highly rated guy. You've probably never heard the name coming out of high school. He redshirted this year. He played very sparingly the year before, being behind Tyler Van Dyke. Has thought that he, is the assumed starter for next year, and now there's some transfer portal noise at quarterback in Miami. So he's looking to make a statement. I think he's going to be playing hard. I think he's, from what we saw, the ups and downs of Van Dyke this year, I don't think he's going to be a downgrade at all.
Okay.
It may actually be an upgrade having him in there.
Sure.
And there's not a lot of guys on this team, not the amount that you would usually see out of a Miami team, that are leaving for the NFL draft, so they're not going to be playing. So I like the talent disparity. I think it still tilts in Miami's favor in this game.
Okay.
Now, they have gone to the Pinstripe Bowl a couple times in my life, and a bunch of kids from South Florida do not like playing outdoor football in New York in December, at the end of December. So that may hurt us. But Rutgers was 6-1. They finished 6-6. I mean, they really stumbled down the stretch. So I'm happy to have Miami here.
Sounds good. I think the sensible pick there. NC State, another state bowl here. I get to pick between North Carolina and Kansas. The state universities, of course, to be clear. Interesting headlines with both these teams. You had MJ Morris. He's in the transfer portal.
Yep.
You got Will Howard, of course, transfer portal as well. So, interesting game. You got K-State, slight favorite here. Slight favorite. You know what? I'm gonna go with K-State here. I think even without Will Howard, they've got their next man up, Avery Johnson, highly recruited guy. He looks like the face of the program, the guy for the future. Potentially, maybe force Will Howard out, possibly if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, give me Kansas State here in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So they got a lot on the line here
Edible
in Orlando.
mascot.
Yep. But
Yeah, and I'll just say, We talk about teams that I like having teams that outplay expectations throughout the regular season. NC State might have done it more than anyone in the country this year.
Yeah,
No one was expecting them finishing the season ranked.
that's true.
They had a great year. If Grayson McCall could play in this game, I'd take him easy. But
Okay.
they get him next year.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, yep. But speaking of overperforming, you get the pleasure, another one of your teams, Con.
I mean, is there any doubt in the world what I'm going to do here? I mean, it's the team that I've maybe been the lowest on.
I would focus on Arizona.
Top-rated team against the team that I have made like half my personality on this show out of hyping up. So, yeah, I'm going to go with my favorite team in the history of football over the one that I keep calling frauds.
Gotcha. Yep. Only a 3-point
For any
line.
first-time listeners, that's me saying I'm picking Arizona.
Only a 3-point favorite there. It is in Texas at the Alamo Dome. I'm really intrigued. Talk about obviously big-time transfers, Dylan Gabriel, and obviously you see on this the box score leaders, but a lot of these guys, the quarterbacks, like the last 3 quarterbacks in these matchups, Tyler Van Dyke, Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, obviously, all guys that are going somewhere else.
Yep.
But I'm really intrigued. Jackson Arnold, 5-star guy, really, we're talking about other freshmen transferring. He really gets to get the reins, I think.
A lot of people are
Make a
very
statement.
excited to watch him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to watch him. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
Still, nope. We can be excited all we want, but is it still enough as a team, to defeat a incredibly stout Arizona team? Which, talk about personalities of the show. Yeah, Noah Fafita. We're
Easily
all
the name
aboard.
that has been said the most on this show.
Easily.
Above
Easily.
either of our names.
Yep. Nope. I think that's safe to say, but I'm cool. I think this is going to be one of the best games, or one of the most, or maybe not, or depending on how you see it going. But there's going to be a lot of points. I think it's going to be a very fun game.
It should be very fun.
game.
It should be very high scoring.
But I get to pick, starting on Friday, December 29th, the slates here. I get to pick between Clemson and Kentucky, two
You get to
teams.
pick between two of your biggest
love.
rivals.
Two teams that, I have now, two of the most likable teams, right? But we're talking the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Tax Slayer Gator, man. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl there. Clemson versus Kentucky. Man. Oh, man. Yeah, I of course I get to make the pick here. I get to pick between the two. Oh, man. Look, God, this is... I can't do it. Just give me Kentucky. Just give me Kentucky.
Ooh,
I really...
And you picked the wrong side by a wide margin,
I think
too.
I did. I think I think I did and could have, but Clemson, I know there's some portal, there's some guys that opt out for the draft. With Kentucky, I don't love it at all. I don't love my Kentucky pick at all, but it's just, talk about your gross game. This is a gross game for me. But just had to bite this bullet. Clemson is a 4-point favorite, which I can understand. I get it. I just give me Kentucky. I guess just give me Kentucky in this. Don't feel great whatsoever about it.
If you're thinking about betting this game and you want to tail me, because as bad as I was all season, I actually finished the year the hot man on the show. I would take Clemson by a lot of points in this game.
Totally understandable. I get it. It is, to have to stress it. It's kind of an emotional pick, anti-pick, I guess, for me. But Con, I don't think it's too anti or too emotional of a game for you to pick between Oregon State, Notre Dame. Who do you have in this one?
Yeah, as much as we kind of hated on Notre Dame all year on this show, they still went 9-3, and they played a really tough schedule. I mean, we hated on them because they had all these weapons and all this on offense, and we're expecting this to be, it's a new era of Notre Dame football. They're going to air it out. They're going to score 60 a game, and then even their big wins, they were winning like 20-19 and stuff. That being said, Oregon State doesn't have any juice. They lost their head coach. They lost their quarterback. They lost everybody, because why wouldn't you enter the portal if your conference is about to disappear? The only thing that confuses me at all about this game is how it's not like a double-digit line. I'm going with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think, look, Oregon State completely. It's tough after arguably one of their best season in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Not arguably at all. It's just safe to say that. And then you have all this turnover.
Yep.
And then just the conference. I mean, I feel for Oregon State fans out there.
Yep.
Just tough scenes. But moving to the pleasure of picking between Memphis, Iowa State, in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Another classic there. Another classic. You got Iowa State.
I was just going to say, we didn't even mention, the last one was the Tony the Tiger Bowl. I mean, greatest bowl sponsor ever.
Come on. And it's tough, I guess, Memphis, talk about Tigers. Tough to miss that bowl game by one, in theory. One spot, but not really because
And Clemson.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But Memphis versus Iowa State. And it's in Tennessee. Memphis home game, pretty much. But you got Iowa State, even still, Iowa State 9.5-point favorite there. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I do like Iowa State. I think they've had some talk about performances that kind of stick in my mind. Complete ground game domination in a very unique condition snowball game against Kansas State in Manhattan there. But just give me Iowa State. I like Iowa State. They're always a kind of sturdy, consistent program. I trust in,
It's a little bit of a hold your nose game, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Not for the two teams playing. I meant specifically to pick Iowa State. I think they are better, but it's not a ton of fun to watch Iowa State football.
Not quite. But I think they can gut it out type of win games.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they just gotta win the game, not cover. But Con, now transitioning into some big time games.
Yeah, give me another darling of the show. Probably more your darling than mine, but both of them, we both have loved them, been on them all year, been big fans of them. Mizzou, I mean, they finished top 10 in the country. I mean, what a turnaround. It's unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, this game actually, I think, means something to them. Going 11-2 would be a very, very nice mark for them.
For sure.
Ohio State's just upset they're not in the playoff. They're not showing up to play in this game.
Oh, yeah, a bunch of speculation, just not great at all atmosphere around that program right now.
Yep.
But nonetheless, I guess I don't hate being stuck with Ohio State. Still a lot of talent. Still, talk about opt-outs. It's still not even decided. Or I know there's actually a couple high-profile guys that are going to be playing in the game, and even Marvin Harrison hasn't even made a call either way, which is interesting there. But nonetheless, yeah, potential the Devin Brown show. Does he take the reins? Talk about your guy Ja'Carri Brown.
Yeah,
statement opportunities with heavily transfer.
You are right.
Portal.
And if you recall, Ryan Day took forever to name a starter because they were saying the preseason story was that the coordinators and quarterback coach and everyone who got a say in it, they were almost split 50-50 down the middle who was better, him or McCord. So,
yeah. Which maybe even speaks to Devin Brown. Maybe he was truly take biases out or factors of the guy that's the incumbent, the guy that has a year on him, and McCord, who was seemingly the guy that was destined, had almost the leader in the clubhouse going into it, even in spring competition. But then, to that point of how it was such a narrative, oh my God, can't pick, just because obviously Devin Brown had done so much. So it's going to be interesting to talk about quarter. That's what's another great part about bowl season. You see guys really get opportunities at the most important position, quarterback, young guys, the faces of the future potentially. But I get then the choice of Ole Miss versus Penn State. Chick-fil-A classic, of course, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl here. This is a very interesting matchup. Very, very interesting matchup. Lot going on with both programs.
Yes.
Penn State 4-point favorite. Oh man. I might really regret this. But I'm going to go with the Lane train here.
I think it's the right call. I mean, the guy's doing something right. Every single player in the country wants to come play for him.
Yeah, even if they can't play for him in this game, you just think, how can I choose against this guy?
I know. I mean, it's like flies to honey with all the transfers that anyone would want. They all are going to Ole Miss. We've talked about not just how great Jackson Dart has been this season, but even last year. He brought in 3 good quarterbacks to compete for one spot. I mean, the guy's got a silver tongue or something. How he gets everyone to...
No, exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah, clearly, I think that program's going in the right direction. I know their diehard fans are upset that it still feels like they can't win the big one. They can't quite get over the hump.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they were a great team this year. They scored a zillion points.
Yeah. It almost does, though. It's interesting. with Penn State, because of course we talked about another team of focus, relatively in the history, the I guess annals is a word, the annals of the show. The classic typical Penn State season, they gotta, kind of like hyped up, some letdowns against the two big teams they have to play. And then I feel like it's tough to pick against them though for bowl season, because I feel like they are a very consistently strong.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what when I went on my stop giving James Franklin so much trouble Penn State fans rant, I said, this is what I keep hearing. Oh my God, same thing all over again. We're going to go 10-2, lose to Ohio State and Michigan, and then win a New Year's Six bowl. And I was like, that's an incredible season. And the fact that you just get to do that every year, every other program in the country outside of like 5 are jealous of that.
Yep. Yes, they are.
So yeah, that would fit the narrative that he wins this game.
It would. It very much would. But now to you for the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. Of course, Auburn versus Maryland.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why this is a New Year's Eve bowl. Or,
odd timing. It seems like there's always one bowl that gets to, for the sake of the timing, they get it. In that, it's weird. Yeah, it's just pretty odd, but
yeah. I'm gonna go Auburn here. I think it means more to them. Just first-year head coaches always want to come in and even like this becomes a big game for them, becomes a rallying cry in the locker room, becomes, hey, we're turning the page on Auburn football. We're going to be back, in the playoff mix next year. It all starts here. If you guys want to be a part of that, this is the game where we come together as a locker room, yada, yada, yada. They do the whole, but first-year head coaches do tend to really care about the bowl game. Not that Maryland's not going to care. Obviously, Maryland's not a program that's above caring about their bowl game, but I like Auburn for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And I think
also, if you look at the way that these teams are trending, Auburn's up and down every week seemingly, but Maryland's trending the wrong direction.
And there's no Talia for this game either, so that's a huge. I mean, yeah, Auburn I think is the very safe and easy pick there. All right, I get a Georgia, Florida State. Okay, Florida State fans, please don't come for my head again here, but just give me Georgia. Just give me Georgia picking straight up here. I don't think it's going to be talk about guys too. I mean, you're going to have almost your full weaponry. Another guy, but still unclear if Brock Bowers what he's going to do just yet. But it is clear they're going to have Carson Beck. They're going to have a lot of guys still. Georgia, they talk about a complete team, or even if they are going to lose some guys, it's like a next man up. They got a 5-star there somewhere ready to step in, but give me Georgia.
Yeah, I'm fine to be on the right side of history and be rooting for Florida State in this game. It's so weird to say that, by the way. As a Miami fan, I've never rooted for them once. All of a sudden, I'm defending them. And...
True, that's very true. And then talk about a equally significant game, right? We got the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, Toledo versus Wyoming, right up there.
Yeah, I got Wyoming here. I think it's as simple as Toledo was great all year. We talked about them a bit on the show. We loved them. Finn, their quarterback, who was so unbelievable. He's in the portal. I don't know if he's picked a destination yet.
He actually has. It's great to see him going to be at Baylor next year. So that's interesting, very intriguing.
Yeah, and I love that for Baylor. You're getting a hell of a player, but Toledo doesn't have him, and
they don't.
We don't know what the backup quarterback situation is. It's not like we've seen. I don't even know who steps in, but I assume it's someone we haven't even seen play. But just when you lose a piece that significant, I'm going to take the other side.
Sure. Makes sense. Totally get the pick. And then now I get Wisconsin or LSU. Kind of been a darling of mine. Give me LSU. No Jaden Daniels, but I trust LSU, a talent gap. Do you have any confidence in Wisconsin?
I mean, the one thing I think they have working for them is they have the best co-defensive coordinator in the country. Everyone knows that.
Very true.
But yeah, outside of that, it's going to be a tough day for. I can't believe this line's only 10 to tell you the truth.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but also first of the New Year's Day games, which it's my favorite day of college football watching.
Oh, 100%.
It's excellent. It's so much fun. I wish they would go back to 8 games instead of 6. A little more overlap. I like to watch multiple screens, and it almost feels like a regular college football Saturday, but with bigger stakes, with all of these games meaning something. But yeah, no, I can't imagine a world in which Wisconsin wins this game, to be completely honest.
Gotcha. Do you imagine a world where Liberty beats Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl?
Tell you what, I sure don't. I wish I did.
But the beauty is you get a seemingly safe pick.
Yeah, and I hope they do, and I hope they claim a national championship when they do. Liberty has been a darling of the show. We've talked them up a lot. We both love Jamie Chadwell. The fact of the matter is they didn't really play anyone good all season, and now they're playing a really good team, and that's scary.
It is.
Which is why it's a 17.5-point line.
Yep.
And I will take what should be a freebie in Oregon.
But to your point, would be quite the scene if we had 3 national champions of 2024.
Which is possible.
Yeah.
It's on the table.
It very much is. But I get to pick between Iowa and Tennessee. An interesting matchup, I think. And, of course, the Cheez-It Bowl, one of the classics.
Yeah.
Need I say more? But the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, to be clear. Iowa versus Tennessee. This is a large line for Tennessee. I can't, in a world, pick Iowa. I just cannot pick Iowa. I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't pick Iowa against a high school team. They definitely win that game. I just don't want to sit there and have to watch Iowa's offense hoping for points. It's like watching paint dry. But, I actually think Iowa's the better team. They just can't score. Tennessee puts up 10 points, they win the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a right. And before we get off this, hey Kyle, you're the only 10 I see.
That's very fair statement. Say I'll throw it right back at you, Con. Right back at you.
I appreciate that.
Now I think we might as well end it with.
Let's end it right here. No one wants to hear about the rest of these games.
Yeah, sure. What am I saying? But no, Con, I think, look, we're at the end of the road, relatively, for bowl season. Right there. Right around, I think, the hour mark for the show. Bowl Mania. Hope you viewers enjoyed. But let's just conclude it with the granddaddies of them all, so to speak, on New Year's. That then dictate the true game.
Yeah. And the first one is actually the granddaddy of them all. The Rose Bowl is in the playoff this year. They got Michigan playing in it. You know, their Big Ten connections forever. Really cool for Michigan that they get to play in the Rose Bowl in the college football playoff.
And you get to pick it. How it works out. You get to pick it.
I kind of have been waiting for this line to flip. It felt to me like, it first came out, it started to come down a little bit, and it felt to me like it was going to flip sides and become an Alabama line. Hasn't happened. There's still time, obviously, but starting to seem like it's settling into where it's going to stay, unless any major news comes out. Anyway, I will go with the Wolverines.
Okay.
I feel what everyone else is feeling with this Alabama team and the momentum and the storybook and all of that. But I really do think Michigan's the best team in the country this year. I've kind of thought it all year. We've had them at the top of our rankings. I'm going to pick the best team to win a game, I think.
Sure. Fair enough. And I guess we are on direct opposite ends. I totally get. It's just, for me, it's like with Bama. I could easily see them, and maybe how we wrap up the show, we'll just, outside of this, game within the game of head-to-head picks, then I think we might as well just give our actual predictions, truly. But before we get into that, look, for this game, I have, for the Rose Bowl, I do believe in Bama, but for the Sugar Bowl, Texas versus Washington, I think Washington wins this. I really think Washington wins this. I think Texas, it's going to be, I think, a pretty favorable crowd. And Texas, rightfully so, favored. They've just been looking a little bit better, maybe. A little bit kind of in almost on a crash course for a little bit now into this game. But Washington, I just can't really pick against them. I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, Texas has been up and down a bit this year. There was a couple games that they won by the skin of their teeth, and everyone kind of threw them in the trash, and they just hung around and kept winning and got here, and now they put up 2 masterful offensive performances in their last 2 games, and everybody's got them like way up here. When just a couple weeks ago they were saying, they're done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's recency bias. That's how we talk about sports. That's how
It
works.
Yeah, that's just human nature.
Washington, on the other hand, has pretty much played poorly in every game except for the biggest moments. So I think I might take them again in the biggest moment of the season. I mean, they were, a 10-point favorite, 10-point dog to Oregon in that Pac-12 championship game because of how poorly they'd been playing.
Crazy. It's crazy even to say that.
But, I mean, they might just be a classic team that plays to the level of their opponents. And but Texas is probably going to play well, and if Washington plays to the level of their opponents, they'll play well too. So yeah, I think I'm on a Michigan-Washington final here.
Okay. On the other hand, I'm on a Bama-Washington final. And then I think, if I had to guess, I think I know where it's going. So then who do you have head-to-head then? Michigan versus Washington.
It's funny, in that matchup, I actually like Washington.
Really?
Yeah. I do think that Michigan's defense hasn't had to stop a team that can spread the whole field the way that Washington's offense has all year. I mean, even Ohio State obviously is a great team, but they don't.
McCord's not Penix.
Exactly. So I actually would like Iowa in that. I mean, I would not like Iowa. Take it back.
We're getting. It's been a long recording.
I would like Washington if that were the matchup.
Really?
Now, not knowing what the matchups will be, I will still take Michigan as my national champion.
Okay. I'm taking Bama as my national champion. I think it's where we're at is, I think it's the 1-4. It's almost like the title within the title. The Rose Bowl, just setting up quite a scene. Obviously, the winner gets in to the national title, but I just think, those two. I mean, even betting odds have implied it ever since it was really tracking like this with both Bama and Michigan. I haven't really checked lately, but I don't see any reason why it would have really changed materially. They're both, I think, in and around, plus 150, give or take. Very marginal separation, obviously, as the 1.5 spread indicates in this game. But then, plus 150. I'm talking about to win to go on, obviously, to win the game and then win the title ultimately. But really interesting playoff con. Just bowl season, going through this slate, it's got me really pumped. It will be hopefully a couple of really good games. Going to be obviously an incredible New Year's, and who cares about talking about the ball dropping, all this or that? We care about watching college football at the highest levels.
And I'm glad that they're now New Year's Day games, New Year's Eve games. They did impact people's plans. I know there were a lot of fights in relationships of, who wanted to watch a game and who wanted to watch Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton ring in the New Year.
True. But even I guess even if it was still New Year's, it would never have been a debate between, if you ask the two of us, what takes the stage.
No, I'm watching Dolly Parton every time she's on TV. Forget football.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I guess, look, that's our bowl game predictions, kind of going head-to-head in a little alternating draft there. But I guess, Con, with that...
I'm Kirk Ferentz, he's Brian Ferentz, and that's the episode.
I thought you were going to go Parton for there.
I almost did.